Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Casimir, and I'm coming to you from Macmillan. I'm here today with my colleague, Teresa Doğuelli. She is attending this webinar from Istanbul. Before we get started, I just wanted to mention two things to you. The first is that the attestato di partecipazione will be available, as always, on Mondadori Education's website, www.mondadorieducation.it/attestati. And this is the third of 4 live streamings that we're doing. The fourth and final live streaming will be this Thursday, April 2nd at 4:30 p.m. Not 4 p.m. today, like today, but 4:30 p.m. And so we would invite you to participate with in that one as well. So without further ado, I'd like you to all lend your ear to Teresa. She's been a teacher and teacher trainer for many years now, and she's quite well known in Turkey, in Greece, and now I hope in Italy too. Thank you, Teresa.
So, hello everybody, and welcome to this webinar, which is entitled, What If We Could Turn Learning a Language into Changing the World? Global Citizenship and Language Learning. And without any more ado, let us begin with a little activity. So we'll talk about things later. So let us start with this little Globingo, this little milling activity normally, which in the classroom we get students walking around, asking each other, looking for someone who has done the following things. But in this case, where we are locked behind our computers in our homes, we could ask students to think about it and then perhaps write down the answer on a piece of paper and hold their piece of paper up to the screen so that we can see. And in this case, on this webinar, what I'd like you to do, we'll look at some of the questions, maybe not all of them, but let's see if you can perhaps answer in the chat box. So let's start with the first question. Who has eaten something from another country during the last week? If you've eaten something from another country during the last week, just write what it is in the chat box. And while you're thinking about that, you could also be thinking about, can you say hello in another language? I can say, for example, cześć in Polish or ciao in Italian. Can you say hello in another language? Again, if you can, write the word for hello in another language that you know in the chat box. Okay, I
would like to just remind you that we've all been in quarantine now for several weeks, some of us even longer. So I think we've all been eating Italian pretty much the last month.
Yeah. Well, in our case, we're still shopping online, so it's still possible. If you look at the packets, I think we've got some German biscuits today on our little internet haul. So you never know. Okay, and a last question. We won't do them all, but can you name a famous sports star from another country? There's another one, a famous sports star from another country. So before I saw people had eaten sushi and noodles, bonjour, dark, lots of different hola, yes. And now a famous sports star. Let's see, does anyone know the name of a famous sports star? Yes, Ronaldo's one. Yes, Federer. One that springs to mind here in Turkey is Messi. Everybody's crazy about Messi. Michael Jordan, yes, absolutely. Absolutely, yes. Ronaldo's very popular. Yeah. Okay, so Thank you very much. Oh, yes, there's Messi again. Right. And does anyone have a member of their family living in another country? Very quickly. My daughter is living in the Netherlands at the moment. She's on her own. Hi to her in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, if she's watching this. Does anybody else have someone living in another country, a member of their family? Oh, someone had curry chicken and basmati rice. Enjoy. Okay. So the USA, Daniela, has someone living there. Cousins in the USA, sister in Germany, Tiziana, yep. Spain, yep. So, yep, UK. Lovely. Thank you very much. So we have a lot of different connections, and we have all the time connections with a different country. So let me move on and we'll come back to that in a moment. Now, if you see the screen at the moment, we're looking at two pictures of a city. It's the same city, but the first picture shows it some time ago, and the picture on the right shows the city now. And your job is to see if you can notice any differences. And again, if you want to put them into the chat box, any differences that you see, I'll give you a few minutes to have a look at the differences there between the then and now. So it hasn't changed dramatically, but there are some little differences which maybe make a difference to the lives of the people who live there. Yes, someone says more trees and a bridge. There is a little bridge where there wasn't before, connecting two sides of the river. And the other side of the river, yes, is definitely looking more green, more trees lining the roads. That's right. The bus is gone. The traffic seems to have disappeared. So generally, a much greener picture. Lovely. Thank you so much. Now, we are now moving into a third activity, and you'll see what links them all in a moment. What could an English lesson be without a little grammar exercise? Very simple, very straightforward. We're asking students here to fill in the blank, and they have to decide whether they're going to use much or many. So it's a low-level exercise. You don't need to put the answers in here at all. Just have a look through it very quickly, look at the questions and just think and answer in your own mind whether it's much or many. It's a very simple exercise. Just glance through those questions. And then the exercise says, having thought about your typical day, answer the questions and then ask your partner the questions. So if you're teaching online and if you can actually get students to interact with each other online, you could ask one student to ask another student and find out about each other. Alternatively, you could ask them to go home and for homework, think about how much time they spend on these different activities and perhaps make a little pie chart to bring to the screen, to the classroom screen the following day, and maybe show and share with the other people in their class their little time separation, how long they spend on sleeping versus homework versus with their family, etc. The last question I added yesterday. And again, we'll come back to that in a moment. So now, thinking about those last three activities, I'd like you to think very quickly about the language which was being practiced in the last three activities. So as an English language teacher, why would I use that kind of exercise? But also think about what else might these activities be focusing on. So the language that was being practiced in the first activity, if we just go back for a moment. Yeah, there's has, there's present perfect, there's can, there's present continuous, there's can, more has, and can. In this one, when you answered me, you used a lot of there is, there are. That was the main structure that we were using there, or they used to be, or they didn't used to be, but now there is. And in this one, how much, how many, no guesses about that one. Okay, so we were practicing language, but what else were we focusing on? Using chat rooms, perhaps that's definitely a side effect. Communication, warm up, yes, possibly. But above all, global citizenship. We were looking at the connection. In the first one, we were looking at how we are connected with other countries through the food we eat, through the clothes we wear, through the people we watch, sports figures, film stars, films, whatever. We are involved. We are global citizens. We are with each other in a way, even if it is on the internet. The second one looked at ecology, saving the planet, something which we were so concerned about as a planet, in a sense. We were, before coronavirus, that was our main concern, was saving the planet. Now I think the planet is probably saving itself. Okay, fair enough. And the last activity, if you remember, is not only looking at how much or how many and the grammar of English, but it's also looking at how we spend our time and perhaps how we use digital technology in order to connect with our friends, with other people, possibly with people in other countries. For example, those of you who have family in another country, perhaps like I do, we talk, my son and I talk to our daughter on WhatsApp every day. We send messages to each other every day. How much time do you spend with your family? This is also something that we all need to think about in every country all over the world. It's a global concern. Are we spending enough time with our families? Yes, you can say 24 hours a day, but are we necessarily talking, or are we WhatsApping other people, or looking at Facebook or following the news and perhaps not talking? So this is a global concern. And by the way, for those of you who would like to learn a little bit more and find out more examples about global citizenship in the English language classroom, this is a free downloadable booklet which you can get from this address. It's provided by the British Council. Now, so global citizenship, what is it? It's a way of living that recognizes our world in an increasingly complex web of connections and interdependencies, where our choices and actions may have repercussions for people and communities locally, nationally, or internationally. And at the moment, more than ever, where I go, what I do, what I decide to do tomorrow will have effects on people in my local community, in my local area, but also possibly nationally or internationally. So Corona, in a way, is a really good metaphor for, you know, one action having a domino effect and causing a lot of effects on society around us. So let us look at how we can develop this sense of global citizenship and with our learners. Now, this idea of students focusing on the global, becoming future global leaders in the world, you can see in this little word web. This has been in many school mission statements for a very long time. Parents have been saying, yes, we want our children to be global leaders, to be 21st century citizens, model citizens, etc., etc. And there's a very nice quotation here which talks about the barriers that we have had to talking about global citizenship or teaching it in our curriculum. I'm going to give you a few minutes to very quickly read what are the barriers, and then I'm going to blank the screen. I'm going to go back and I'm going to ask you to write the answer in the chat box. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to read that to yourself very quickly. What have the barriers to global citizenship been so far? Okay, so what have the barriers been? Just put it in the chat box so far. What have we been focusing obsessively on? Even in the best educational systems, we haven't had much time to teach global citizenship because, yes, there had time, true, skills perhaps, prejudices. And I don't know about, you can tell me if this is true in Italy too, but in Turkey for sure, an obsession with exams. So schools have been obsessed about preparing kids for exams. This has overtaken everything. Everything is training up for exams, passing exams, and so we have not had time, or maybe the skills or the teaching skills or the confidence to branch out and start thinking about how we can teach kids how to become global citizens. But I think perhaps now is perhaps the most optimal time, absolutely the time when we need it the most. And here's a quotation from, again, the Director General of the British Council in 2003, which said the school language classroom provides a non-threatening context in which to discuss topics of concern. You can continue to read it for yourself. So in 2003, David Green said, students are doubly motivated to discuss issues which are of crucial importance for mankind and of improving their language skills. And I think now more than ever, that is the case. So again, just staying with the British Council resources, there are many, many resources on the British Council website. And if any of you are tackling the coronavirus issue head on, because young people, old people, all ages are concerned about this, this might be one of the concerns that you might want to tackle in the English language classroom. So there are many, many resources through these links. Again, these came out before the coronavirus, way before the coronavirus. And what you will find is lesson plans, which are still very, very useful. For example, this one, still very, very useful. How effectively do you wash your hands? We have a whole activity here. So it's on the British Council website. You can download it from there free of charge. It's inspired by another website, which you can see here down below on the left-hand side of the screen, ebug.eu, which also has a lot of resources for language teachers. And you can find ones there which on all kinds of topics, but I chose this particular one as an example. Again, it will have to be adapted a little bit to make it online, because this is obviously a hands-on activity, getting kids, sorry, I just moved the screen, getting kids to realize how effectively they're washing their hands. So they put Vaseline on their hands, and then they put glitter on their hands, and then they shake hands with other people in their group. And so some wash their hands with water only, others wash their hands with water and soap. There's an extension here which says trying different types of soap. So there's a lot of scope there to trying out different soaps. And what I would do as a teacher, I think I would say, okay, we can't do this in the class, but kids could try this out with their family. So, so we could allocate some of the students to do the Vaseline and glitter, and then don't wash your hands, and shake hands with as many members of your family in the house that you're living with, and see what the effect is. And then another time, use just water. Another time, use soap. Use different kinds of soap, and each time shake hands with different people and see how much glitter does or does not spread. And that's a very nice hands-on lesson on hygiene and cleanliness, and very current at the moment. There's another lesson here from eBug, again on the British Council website. This is where I got this from, and this is again a hands-on activity where kids have a little spray bottle, and they spray water onto card to measure how many droplets are spread, and they're looking how sneezes cause diseases, and how many people they affect. Again, this could be possibly a little homework task for kids to do, using water, not real sneezes, and just measuring. So we've got some maths there, we've got some science there, we've got some hygiene there, and an interesting experiment to actually look at this issue of protecting yourself in the time of coronavirus. And finally, on this subject, I won't spend too long on it, but again, it's something that kids might be interested in. This is our British, because I originally came from England, from Britain to Turkey many years ago. And at the moment, currently in the UK, the National Health Service has produced a poster with 3 very crucial pieces of advice, what to do with the coronavirus. And I've just given you the first letter of each word. So they're saying it, and it, Now, see if you can guess what the 3 words, what are they telling us to do with the coronavirus? Have a guess, stick it in the chat box. And this is something, again, that you could do with your students. A nice piece of advice, also a nice piece of language work here, practicing imperatives. Yeah, could be, keep guessing. Just waiting for people. Could be clean, yes, that's a good guess too, Juliana. Yeah, could be. So, yeah, and there's a but. Oh, cure, break, kill. Very nice. Very nice, Michaela. Very nice. Kick it. Yeah, nice one, Daniela. Blow it. Yes, it could be. How far we can blow it, we don't know, but we can try. Clean sounds very sensible. Clean, brush, kill. Could be. Thinking about our toilet there. Yes. Cure, break, kill. Yep. All good guesses. Okay. Beat it. I like that one too, Alexa. So, okay, I'm going to reveal the original poster. Hey, I think, yes, Daniela got it. Daniela got it. Absolutely bang on. Catch it, bin it, and kill it. So a little activity there. Yeah, burn it would be a good thing too, I'm sure. Okay, now, some of those little activities that we've just seen could be about hygiene, it could be about other things. Have you, I don't know, some of you may have thought about this, some of you may be doing this, but if you're not, this is a wonderful way to motivate your kids now, especially with internet being the main channel of learning, of e-twinning, twinning or partnering up with another school online. Again, this website down below on the left-hand side, etwinning.net, helps you to find a school somewhere else in another part of the world where you can do these kind of projects and then together put your results together, share your results online, and your learners, your students will feel that they really are being global citizens, not just being aware or following or reading or watching, but actually being part of global projects to improve hygiene, to improve people's health, to prevent people from getting infected or whatever. So I think this is the time with online teaching becoming now so important, is to think about true global citizenship and kids learning together between countries. And both the British Council and this website, eTwinning, can help you to find another school anywhere in the world which your kids can work with at the level that you want. Okay, so we're moving to another topic now, moving away, Corona Morona, finished. We're looking now at another subject. I've put some keywords up there. This would be an activity in class. I would put these words up. Again, I can do this online. Before a reading or a listening, I put up some keywords and I ask kids to predict what the listening or the reading activity is going to be about. So looking at those words, what do you think our next subject is going to be about? I'll give you a few minutes to have a think. So research, chocolate, cocoa, significant, consumption. makes me think about what I was doing today when I got my once a week stock of shopping coming in. And the first thing I did was consume something on this screen, an entire packet of chocolate biscuits. Okay, so you may have guessed, yes, we're talking about chocolate, and I can see some people ahead of me, very nice. So we're looking at, does chocolate make you clever? This is a good question. We know what it does in terms of the size of the body and the tummy, but does it actually work well on your brain? Does it have any significant benefits? This is a question we can ask our learners. Again, before they read, they now have the title. So does it make you clever? Bit more global citizenship here, looking at different countries on this chart. So the countries that you see bottom left, these are countries which consume very little chocolate. And on the left, we have that axis showing how many Nobel Prizes have been won by those particular countries. As you can see, the Nobel Prize winners seem to be up at the top of the screen. We see Switzerland up there, high up, top right, and you can see they consume a lot of chocolate and they receive a lot of Nobel Prizes, as does Sweden, Denmark, Austria, Norway, and the United Kingdom, Germany. A few fewer in Germany, fewer in Finland, but still much higher than, for example, China, which seems to have the least chocolate consumption and the least Nobel Prizes. So, oh, there is Italy. Yes, so you can see Italy sort of nearly on that five kilograms a year per capita, and nearly sort of about 5 Nobel Prizes a year. So halfway along that scale. So the question then is for kids to, again, before they read, before they listen, to think about, is this true? Is this a reliable correlation? Can we believe it? Is there really a connection? And so we could ask them to think about it. And in a sense, they are now ready to read the passage. So what I've just shown you is, a lead up to giving them the words, giving them perhaps a graph, getting them to predict, and then they read or they listen. And in this case, chocolate. Does it make you more clever? Well, it says at the end, perhaps we should all eat more chocolate. I won't spend too much time now on actually focusing on that. This is something for us all to think about, but I think they're saying it hasn't been proven, but it could be. So there's hope for all of us. We might become cleverer with all the chocolate we eat. But from that springboard, as I said, some people are very fast. Some teachers are already there and they've been talking about fair trade. So I'm going to show you a short video now, if Luca could switch that on in a minute. And this is available, again, online from schoolsfairtrade.org UK. And you'll have this link at the end. Schools Fair Trade offers a lot of teaching resources to teachers who want to go beyond just talking about, okay, how much chocolate do we eat, or what are our problems, or talking about some kind of, is chocolate, does it make you clever or not? But they help us to go beyond that issue into looking at the global problems that maybe we could do something about. So I would ask students to watch this video. We're going to show you now just a minute a minute and a half of the video, but it goes on for longer. It's from Schools Fair Trade, and we're looking at, okay, chocolate is a wonderful thing, but what's the problem? So if Luca could just
It's one of the world's
play
most
us
popular treats. In the UK alone, we each eat an average of around 3 bars a week. But you don't have to look too far before you find the chocolate industry itself is far from sweet. Many farmers who grow the cocoa for our treats are underpaid and exploited. That means they can't earn enough for the basic human rights many of us take for granted, including food, education, and housing. So how can we stop chocolate from leaving a bitter aftertaste? 60% of the world's cocoa comes from Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire. The main ingredient of chocolate, cocoa, grows on trees in pods. Growing cocoa is hard work and relies heavily on the weather. With changing weather patterns, cocoa farmers face more uncertainty as crops are more at risk of rain damage or disease. Cocoa is big business. In the UK alone, the chocolate industry is worth £4 billion a year. But cocoa farmers are at the very end of the supply chain and see very little of cocoa's value. They have little control over how much they sell their cocoa for, with prices set far away. A typical cocoa farmer in Côte d'Ivoire lives on less than $1 a day. That's around 80p. Not enough to provide for the basics for a family. To make matters worse, in the past few years, the price of cocoa has plummeted, pushing many cocoa farmers further into poverty.
So, hopefully we can then get students' answers, different things they've picked up from that video, the fact that workers are working for a very low wage, the fact that prices have plummeted, the price of cocoa has plummeted, they're not getting enough money back for all the care and the nurture that they put into growing this crop. We get the students' ideas, and we now come to the real, what action could you take? Part of the thing. We've looked at the causes, we've looked at the issue, we're through this video, they've seen the effects, and now, as you can see on that little tree, we're going to work on real solutions that your students can be creators of. So again, fair trade suggests a lot of things that students could do, from designing posters to finding out where their food in their school comes from, perhaps also preparing a presentation about global food issues, or choosing a certain country or a region of their own country to deliver a presentation on, looking at these kind of problems, what is grown, what is sold. Perhaps they could, as you see in the last one, they could find or contact a local farmer to talk about crops that he's working with and the challenges, or she. Maybe set up a little garden, a community garden, or maybe just look at the stuff on their shelves and see where it comes from. So lots of different things, which little projects, mini projects that students can do, which actually are important. And if you're twinned up with another school, some comparison will be very interesting, and some brainstorming on what we could do next. There's even an idea here about writing to your local supermarket. And I've seen this in Global, the Italy version. There is an activity asking students on Gateway, the Italian version asks students to write to their local shop or the local shop manager expressing concerns. And you can see sometimes the young people can have a big impact, as we saw through Greta Thunberg in the last few months. So you could have writing, you could have reading, you could have presentation, speaking, and listening about these this global concern. You could also become a fair trade school. So you can become first stage a fair aware school, and then a fair active school, and then reach the status of a fair achiever school. So again, it gives students as well as the teacher a sort of the materials already downloadable, which help students to learn more about the situation and give them ideas for projects which may help them to actually do something about it using English throughout. So, and these are some of the activities which you can get off the website. Ordering how, for example, chocolate or another product moves along the supply chain, put it in the right order. This is a little class activity that can be done online as well. Find out how it is transported, how many methods. And again, coming back to Gateway, Dave Spencer has given us something to think about with his food miles debate. And online, I found this wonderful little gadget. I think, again, it wasn't me that found it. Again, I was guided there, I believe, by the fair trade teaching lessons and stuff. There's a little food miles calculator, and I'm going to ask you to use this in a minute. So just hang on. If you have your mobile phones with you, I'm going to ask you to do a little task very quickly in a minute. This is just how I would have done it in class. Perhaps if you can put your students into groups online, which it is possible, I think, on Zoom, you can put them into different rooms and you can have students working on the task as a group, each student having a different role or responsibility. But for the moment, we can all do it individually. So this is an activity from Gateway. The task is look at the food label. Here it is. It shows a product sold in the US. So how far did it travel before getting to the US? So if you have got a phone and if you would like to Google foodmiles.com, that should take you to the calculator and it will say from. So on that label, you will see where it's from. So you write the name of that country. You will see where it then went in order to be packaged. And the question asks, how far did it travel before getting to the US? So if you then add on the miles from the country it was produced in, packaged in, and now it traveled to the US. So in total, how far, how many miles or food miles did it travel? So yes, produced in Turkey, packaged in Thailand. So if you've got your little calculator, your little food miles calculator, from to, how many miles is it? And then you'll need to calculate Thailand to US, because it was packaged. It went from Turkey to Thailand, then it went from Thailand to the US. So I'm moving on because time is moving on as well, but I will let you find out the answer to that. And again, this is a very simple activity which students can find out about the amount of food miles that food travels. They can then go on to look at food in their kitchen cupboard. Again, where is it packaged? Where is it from? How far has it traveled? And are there any cheaper alternatives? And Dave in Gateway actually gives them a project of collecting different food labels that they find in their kitchen cupboards and perhaps sticking them onto a world map. It could be done at home and then shared online in class. So what labels have you got in your kitchen cupboard? Where does your food come from? Is it all from Italy or does it come from other places? Again, in Turkey, there's a lot of stuff that comes from various countries. And whereas the local products could be much cheaper. So that opens up this whole idea of, you know, are we living sustainably? Are we getting opening up students' awareness to what they're eating? Could they be eating locally? And also when they talk with other countries, if they partner up with other schools, maybe they can offer advice from their own life. Similar again, activities, not with food this time, but looking at clothes and where they're produced. Again, fair trade, is it a fair trade supplier? So the activity here asks students to use a variety of websites to find out where these clothes are produced, what kind of conditions the workers work under, and share the results of what they find. And again, this is very much global citizenship, and it involves them in all kinds of use of their skills and language. Coming now to a close very quickly, if you remember how many at the beginning, we were looking at the different ways we use our smartphone. We were looking at how long we spend on different technologies that we use in our daily lives. And again, this is a very important current topic, which is picked up in the Italian Gateway too, the Italian version, which has just come out of Gateway, second edition. So also what I'm saying here is that it doesn't have to have the title. This is the global citizenship section. Global citizenship can be part of any lesson. It can be part of the grammar lesson. It can be part of the speaking lesson or the reading lesson. It can be a part of any lesson, bringing out the global issues in the texts that we're working on, and getting students to become more aware, more empathetic, to think about how can we make things better. So there we have a chart which shows just how long the average person, I think worldwide, spends using their mobile phone. And this is the reading passage in Gateway B1 level, which is about an issue. I think it's a global issue which all of us are probably at the moment living through. We're all at home, as you see, sitting on the sofa, each one of us with our technology in hand, our ears blocked up with earphones, and thinking about how technology is changing family life. So again, this is something global. This is something we all need to think about. This is something we all need to share ideas about, how we can improve the situation, how we can stop it from isolating us. And generally, I'm sorry, we are working on empathy, self-awareness, communication, cooperation. These are the skills that global citizenship works on. Respecting others, believing that people can bring about change, and helping kids to become a part of that change, which hopefully will bring about a better global world for all of us in the future. So thank you all for listening. These are the references which you'll get. Good luck, everyone. Lots of strength in difficult times, challenging times, but this is a time where perhaps more than ever we can make a difference. So let's enjoy making a difference. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Teresa. I'd like to just kind of ask the participants if they've got any questions. If they do, they could just type it into YouTube and we'll be able to see them there. I did see a few questions, one of them involving really a few of them actually asking to have the slides. So would you, Teresa, be willing to put those, make those available for the participants?
Most definitely, most definitely. They are available to everybody who wants them. I think it's up to you guys how we distribute that, but you have my presentation, so do with it what you will, post it where you will. I mean, this knowledge is to be shared. None of this is mine. It's not copyright. So enjoy, use, definitely.
Okay. I saw another question on posted on here about getting the attestato. As I said at the beginning, and I'll just repeat it now, you'll be able to get the attestato di partecipazione on Mondadori Education's website, www.mondadorieducation.it/attestati. As I mentioned before, it could take about a week, probably less, but I would ask you to just check back in a couple of days and it should be there, but as much as a week. I think that's about it, really. So, Teresa, I'd just like to thank you. Hopefully, next time we'll be able to see you here live. I've seen a few other comments of teachers who were saying the same thing. So, hopefully, next year we won't have to deal with an outbreak of some other virus, and you'll be here with us in person.
I hope so. Yes, I'm looking forward to it so much. So,
okay.
Ciao for the moment.
So, ciao for the moment. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you on Thursday at 4:30 p.m. So, until then, have a nice evening.